but you're being recorded. Is that terrifying?
That is terrifying.
Let's dive into this. I just got to make sure I got all my stuff organized how I want it before I start showing you my screens and stuff. Can we do a quick introduction for everyone? So I'm Corey. I think I've met every single person with the exception of one. And I don't know who is all on the call or who was able to make it today. And then I'll let Dean and Laura introduce themselves. And then if we can kind of rotate through Ashley, Marilyn, and then go Montrose with Sadie and Clifton and Fruta. Looks like there's a couple people in Montrose, so we'll make it through. So Laura.
I'm Laura. I'm Corey's assistant. And that's good enough.
Hi, guys. First of all, I want to say welcome, and we're very excited to have all of this happen. My name is Dean McCall. I'm the CFO. I also help Corey in regards to some of the operations pieces, so we'll kind of be doing a tag team. That's where I would start with that. Phone, doors always open. I'm trying to be as easy as I can. Just call. We'll make it simple.
Okay, and everyone already knows me. You guys have been stuck with me for a while. It's Ashley. And I'll be doing HR moving forward. If you guys have any questions, just let me know.
Yeah, hi, this is Marilyn, and we're in Cedar Edge. Amy and Rebecca are both joining me.
Amy, hi. Rebecca, hi.
Rebecca.
Good seeing everybody.
Hi, I'm Betsy. I'm in Clifton.
I'm Rebecca. I'm in Clifton.
I'm Dallas. I'm in Clifton.
And I'm Jesse. I'm in Clifton.
Hi, I'm Kat.
Hi, come on. Stay out there with you somewhere.
Hi, I'm Raquel. I'm at the Montrose Family Practice.
I'm Sadie, supervisor at Montrose Family Practice and Urgent Care.
The receptionist at Montrose. I'm Christy. I'm also in Montrose. That's Katie. She's our MA here in Montrose Urgent Care.
All right, did anyone not go yet? Did we miss somebody? All righty. Well, it's exciting. Glad everyone could make it. I know we're missing some. We're recording this. I'll share the link for anyone that didn't quite make it. And if you have to step out, I know you're in the middle of your workday. I know you're trying to make things happen. We just had Savannah join, so I'll put her right on the spot and have her introduce herself and her team.
I am Savannah. I am the site supervisor for Clifton and Fruta. This is Lauren Beebe, front desk for Fruta, and this is Trish Johnson now, and she is the MA out here in Fruta on staff today.
Trish, you're the only one I hadn't met yet. Nice to kind of meet you. Well, cool, exciting. Sorry, we just ran through everyone else's introduction, so sorry if you missed it. You have to watch the YouTube link after. We're gonna keep rolling. All right, what's the next thing on my list? Dean's gonna just review a little bit of roles and responsibilities. Sorry for especially the site supervisors who kind of attended the provider meeting earlier. Some of this is going to be repetitive. Hopefully it just helps to reinforce what you already know, and I'll consider you experts when this is all over. But I'm gonna kick this to Dean and let him talk through it a little bit.
I'm going to scoot over here just a little bit. First of all, I want to say welcome aboard. We're very excited. We're getting a little closer to get in front of the camera. Corey has, do you have it up for everybody?
No, I haven't shared it yet. Here you go.
Okay. We're going to go over just kind of a simple organizational chart of how we work. We are designed to where we can do a lot of different business units and use a lot of, as you can see with Corey and Laura here and the different people, a lot of technology to try to work on this. That's one thing that you'll notice that will be changed from previous is we're really going to rely on some technology to help improve our systems and our flow. The org chart here, it kind of goes to where you have different business units. The urgent care business unit is there. We haven't really built it and dropped it down for all the specifics, but we're not expecting a lot of things to change. Dr. Wade and Dr. Shelton will still be involved in some of the things that they've done previously. Our commitment is to trying to make this not so corporate in where we're at. So our roles, responsibilities, business model. We want to try to continue to have decision-making and some empowerment with your site supervisors and everything that's happening there and what I'll call your business units, where you guys are working and what's happening. It's really important to us because we believe that the success of our organization is really reflective of what you guys are able to do at the units, at the different sites, and being able to meet that responsibility for your patients that are coming in, to deliver high quality care, to have relationships with them, and to be able to integrate and make decisions there that still follow some pathways that we've got and that really follow what you've already got in place because you've done a great job. We're not changing a lot. We're just going to try to refine a few things to where the thing come back up to our central business office, as you can see in the chart here, with the different things that we're talking about. And Ashley's going to go over some more things as she goes into her HR role, and we develop that. Where this all goes is our mission, vision, and values, which Corey will also probably talk about a little bit more here, are a core piece for who we are in our roles and responsibilities. We really challenge ourselves, and we want you guys to challenge us and challenge each other. That's what we live by. That's what we try to embrace. If we're not, then something's wrong. And we ask all of us to really look at those and to try to make sure that our roles and responsibilities of what we're doing during our workday emulate those to our patients, to our colleagues, to everyone that we're dealing with. What else would I like to touch base on? You know, we're going to tighten up some of the systems simply because, you know, we're not going to be able to come around to every site. So a lot of the different sites are going to have to stand a little bit more on their own, like some of the deposits and some things like that, which we'll talk about. We're going to start rolling out a form that's moving to a drop. Can I go into that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to move to more of a, so previously you guys were putting things in the Dropbox. We've discovered through some different things that that's not necessarily HIPAA compliant. So we're going to move it to a Google Drive in which you'll be uploading exactly like you've done previously. We're going to use similar forms that Laura and them have got out. Ashley's going to kind of do a mass rollout to you guys. I think she might have already on some of this. But we're just going to tighten some things up with some deposits, some other things. Other than that, we're hoping to really just let business as normal continue. And I look forward to meeting everybody, and welcome. Call me if you have any questions.
So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen a little bit here. So, sorry, I kind of give the same speech, and if anyone thinks I'm a broken record, I might be. But I do repeat myself because we want to try and emphasize some things. You know, most businesses have a mission statement, values, a vision that they're pursuing, and we have those. But a lot of the businesses that I worked for, I couldn't tell you what the mission was. I have no idea what their values were. And I know they had them on some document that might have been waved in front of me once or twice, but it wasn't something that was really part of their company. And we want these mission and values to be central to who we are. So, you know, in future meetings, I'm sure we'll spend some time talking about specific values and go into more depth about our mission. But for now, I would just emphasize with you that, hey, this is more than just some document that checks a box. We want to live by these values. They're important to us. And not, when I say us, I'm not just saying that selfishly. I'm not just saying that, well, work-life balance is important to me personally and not to anyone else. We want these values to resonate with each one of our employees. That we recognize that you work to live, you don't live to work, as an example. But we want this mission and these values to be central to who we are, and I would hope that everyone spends another couple minutes just rereading through these. They are at the beginning of your policy manual. I'm going to touch base on a couple other things here in a sec. So I'm going to change subjects totally on you. So health insurance and dental and vision. We've had to do some crazy stuff, and I'm going to try and give you enough detail without giving you too much detail. So we've had to get creative as we've worked with Rocky Mountain Health Plans so that we can ensure that coverage is available as quick as reasonably possible for all of our employees, and those that have been established on our group health plans don't have any experience gaps in coverage through this transition. And so there are a number of different buckets that people are falling into, and it feels probably from your perspective a little disorganized or discombobulated. It actually is reasonably organized considering the circumstances. But we will have open enrollment with Cedar Point Health, and you will meet your 60-day requirement to be eligible at the end of November. Now, if you were already enrolled in benefits with Mountain Peaks or Cedar Edge, which I don't think anyone was enrolled previously at Cedar Edge, you will have coverage immediately October 1st. We will continue the coverage that you have, and nothing needs to be done. You're going to stay on the same plans you were, and Cedar Point Health will take over in paying the 75% portion of the health insurance premium, and your dental and vision will roll over, and we'll still be able to do those deductions from your payroll. So if you have questions, if you're not sure where you're at, if you're confused about what forms you need to fill out to make sure you're covered, please don't hesitate to reach out to Ashley. We need to make sure we have everything in place for those that are expecting to have coverage October 1, which again should only be those individuals who were previously enrolled with group health insurance through Mountain Peaks. Otherwise, everyone else is going to be eligible after a 60-day waiting period. And as we approach the end of November, we'll present plans and we'll get you paperwork and we'll get all that stuff rolling so that those that are interested in that benefit, we can have it ready to go. I think that's all I'm going to say about health insurance for now, because I was going to mention some things about health savings accounts and that sort of stuff. I don't think it's applicable to where you're at right now. So I'm going to defer that conversation to later in November. If you have specific questions about participation in the retirement plan, which hopefully everyone understands the eligibility period, which is kind of a long waiting period. I understand that, but that's not something that we could, again, we tried our best to work around the eligibility period there and see if we could get it waived for those coming on board that have years of service already with Mountain Peaks, but it's not something we could do. So there is an eligibility period, and you'll come on January of 2019. If you have specific questions about the retirement plan in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I have contact information if you have specific questions about your personal situation, or if you're interested in, say, setting up an IRA until then or something like that, I can get you in contact with the right people to help you there. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen in just a second, as soon as I can unselect my 30 different calendar events. Sorry. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So I wanted to clarify how pay periods are going to work. So there's nothing fancy here. We're just looking at a calendar together. I just want to make sure we're all clear. So today's the 27th of September. Cedar Point Health started a pay period at the beginning of this week on the 25th. That pay period will end on Sunday, October 8th. At the conclusion of that day, October 8th, we'll finalize punches and make sure everyone has accurate punches in the system, which we'll get to here in a little bit as well. We're going to process payroll Monday, which, as you see, I left the holiday calendar on here. It's Columbus Day. The clarification there is that although we're still going to work, the banks don't work. And so although we'll submit and process your payroll that day, your bank probably isn't going to process it on their end. And so that'll delay the processing of your payroll probably by 1 day. So normally, if there wasn't a Monday holiday, we process it early in the day, we get it submitted, and by Wednesday, everyone has their check or their electronic check in their bank account. Because of the Monday holiday, it'll likely not arrive until Thursday the 12th in your bank account. So any work that you perform starting Monday the 2nd through end of the day, October 8th, will be part of that payroll that's processed on the 9th and in your bank account by the 12th. Is there any questions on that? I wanted to clarify that. Nothing? Bueller? Okay. Maybe is there a question coming? Take that as no. All right. Another thing I wanted to clarify when I go back to showing my ugly mug is insurance deductions. So those that are currently enrolled with Mountain Peaks under a group health plan or under dental and vision, normally we deduct from your paycheck the portion of your premium that's due for the next month. So normally, in other words, in September, from your 2 paychecks, we would deduct a portion of your premium that you pay from your paycheck, so that we could pay those premiums to the insurance companies, and we would do that the month prior. So for those individuals who are currently enrolled in group health or dental and vision, you are not an employee of Cedar Point Health until the day that those plans are still active and available to you. So as we process payroll, we would be normally deducting from your first October paycheck a portion of your November premium. But because of the situation, we will be deducting your entire October premium from your first check and your entire November premiums from your second October paycheck. That is normally how it would work. Now, if that creates any problems for anyone, please let me know. Please reach out to us. We're happy to try and make other arrangements so that your personal situation is not compromised. I see a question out there.
Hi.
It's not your meeting. What are you doing here?
I know. I kind of had trouble before I think. I did have a quick question. So you're talking about how you're gonna you collect and pay your premium a month in advance, and I was just wondering if Ashley, by any chance, knew how Mountain Peaks is going to handle that on the closing end, if they're going to be collecting that through the end of the month, if she happens to know.
I cannot say I do know. I will check with Susan and get an answer for you, though.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll butt out. Thanks.
Thanks, Diana. I always catch myself talking when I'm still on mute and I look like an idiot. So any other questions on that? I think we've covered then the insurance stuff, payday. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to a shared screen a little bit. Maybe I won't. So many of you have a Mountain Peaks address, so there Ashley can clarify this if I don't speak with any knowledge, but there are a number of like mpucfruta@gmail.com addresses. There's an address for each location. And the discussion that we've had with Ashley and the site supervisors is that we will continue to have those addresses available if you would like to use them for ongoing chat and instant message functions. It's been expressed that there are situations where it's convenient to ask other offices or quickly get on and chat with somebody about whatever might be happening in your day. And if you need to use it for that, go ahead and continue to do that. We will not be sending formal communications through those email addresses. Instead, they'll be managed by the site supervisors, by Sadie and by Savannah. So we'll be sending out communications through them, and then they'll work with you on making sure that they have a system that's in place to make sure that everyone's in the loop. The only other thing that I was going to mention is that we did set up one additional email address. It's simply team@cedarpointhealth.com. And I'll share with you a little bit of the purpose of that and go back to a shared screen in order to do that. So we're going to function a lot with a functionality that's available in a Google account called Google Drive. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It's a shared drive. It's not so dissimilar to Dropbox that I know you've been using, but it integrates into our system. As you can see, and as you could probably understand by the address that I shared with you, team@cedarpointhealth.com, that's a domain that's managed by us internally. It's not a standard freebie Gmail address. It's a domain that's managed internally by us. And so the folders and the documents that are available on Drive are going to be managed by us internally. And we have a folder that's been shared, as you can see, with team@cedarpointhealth.com. And in that folder, you're probably going to find some helpful documents, some stuff that you might have already been given previously, but maybe you lost your copy and you need another copy. And there's going to be some other forms in here too that are convenient for your use going forward. I'm not going to go probably into too much detail on many of these documents today, and I'm going to leave your site supervisors to probably work with you on training you on some of this as we go on. But glance through here. There are some updates and there are some things available A lot of the forms that you're using currently, we just simply dumped on the Cedar Point logo and changed the name in a few places so that you have updated forms to use at your locations. If you run into forms that aren't updated in your office, that aren't available on here, let us know. We're happy to work on them and help them get fixed and updated. We've dumped in here, for example, the mission and values that I was referring to a minute ago. We have an updated fax cover sheet, so you have one of those to use. You have the updated copy of the policy manual that's available for you. And anytime we make a correction or an update to the policy manual, it'll be available to you in here. In fact, I'm going to highlight one of those for you now. So we did make an update that's really more of a clarification, because internally this is how we've always functioned anyways, but the question came up and so we've clarified this. We don't want employees who make an extra effort to go to work at a location that's not their home base, that I'm using that term loosely. If we ask you to work at another one of our locations, we want to pay you for that. We want to reimburse you for your effort for doing that. So if that's the situation, then we've set up a little mileage grid that says the distance between all of the locations. And if we send you from, say, Townsend to Clifton, we're going to pay you 59.1 miles based on the currently adopted standard IRS mileage rate. And you can get reimbursed that simply by filling out this little form. So there's a form that's also available to you. At the bottom, it describes the mileage stuff. Enter what mileage you did, and you're reimbursed the standard IRS rate, which is currently 53.5 cents a mile, which is far better than being reimbursed your gas. Believe me, it's supposed to help pay for some of the maintenance and insurance and things on your car. So rather than submitting a gas receipt, this is probably how you'd be better off handling it this way. Of course, if you're commuting 1 mile between say the Townsend office and the Nevada office, and it's not very far and worth your effort to fill this out and get reimbursed for it, then don't do it. No one's going to force your hand. But if you'd like to get reimbursed for mileage that you're putting in as an employee, we're happy to reimburse you for it and happy to pay you for that effort. Is there any questions about that? Is that helpful? Does that clear up anything for anyone? Yeah, I'm seeing a few nods, head shake, a thumbs up. Cool. I believe that is the only update that we've made to your policy manual since we've provided you a copy. So I just wanted you to be aware that that's an update that's in here, and if you'd like to, get another copy and print it from here, you're able to do that. I think I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about deposits. Dean touched on that a little bit, and this is a process that we're hoping to finalize any minute now. And we'll get some training out to Sadie and Savannah so they feel comfortable with the process. But our goal, which Dean suggested, is not to change the current deposit process at all. But there are a couple caveats in there, and I'm just going to clarify a couple of those things. Yeah. I'm going to pull up one of these forms. So this shouldn't look too foreign to anyone that's worked on compiling a deposit. We just simply updated the name at the top and a couple other things down throughout. The clarification that I wanted to make, again, I'm not going to go into details of the step-by-step for compiling a deposit, but I just want to emphasize one thing. On October 2nd, that's when Cedar Point Health takes over the business. But as many of you know, there are services that we provide right up until October 2nd, in which there are payments that come in after the fact. In other words, October 2nd itself, there might be a patient who shows up at your location and says, I'm here to pay my bill. We're happy to accept that payment for them, but we'll have to keep the money that we collect for dates of service prior to October 2nd separated and distinct from cash payments or check or credit card that we receive and accept for dates of service October 2nd and going forward. That's kind of a mouthful, but is that clear conceptually? In other words, all we're trying to say is we got to make sure that the Wades, who own the business up through the end of the day, October 1st, get what money is due them. And that on October 2nd and going forward, we got to make sure that the money that Cedar Point Health business is due, that they get that as well. So is there a question out there? Somebody went unmuted for a second. Do you have a question?
I do have a question. So whenever a payment comes in for Mountain Peak at night, when we close at night, would we put that on a Mountain Peak's end of day sheet, or how would we do that?
Well, I'll try and answer that as best I can, but we're going to end up getting probably a little bit into the weeds right now, which might be okay. I'm going to say this, that it depends. So for example, if somebody shows up and wants to pay with a credit card, our credit card machines are going to be configured to pay to Cedar Point Health on October 2nd. And so if somebody shows up to make a credit card payment, we're going to ask them to call the billing office. And the billing office is going to be able to accept that credit card payment over the phone, and that money will be processed and put into the Mountain Peaks bank account.
Oh, hold on. We've talked about that, but we talked about the business office, and so what's going to happen, or we're going to ask, is you've been working with the business office here to where if they call to get a payment, they would take information down, put it on a piece of paper, and then send it out to you to enter at your sites, correct?
Yep.
We're going to do it just in reverse. So the business office here now is going to keep a credit card machine that still attaches into the Mountain Peaks account for deposits. The one in your site is going to then be attached to ours for Cedar Point Health. So what you will do at your site is you will fill out that document that's there, and it will go in reverse. And it's going to go back to the business office so that they can then put that income in there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I was leading you down the wrong path.
Well, it's a path. We've talked about a lot of variables, but it was felt that at the business office, it was going to get too difficult and challenging to take all these phone calls from all these different places at time and make sure it gets posted correctly. We wanted to just do it as a single batch.
Okay.
So instead, just as Dean's describing, this form hopefully looks familiar. You'll be filling out this form for those patients and dumping it into Drive in the folder that's applicable to your location. No, that's going to go on Dropbox.
Well, no, we had a problem with that, and I've talked to the business office for that.
Okay, we're just getting confused there.
Okay.
I think we need to pause. We're getting in too deep. Bottom line is this. We're working out the fine details. Before the end of the week, we're going to have a clear procedure for you all to follow. Okay? There are a million different scenarios that we've talked about. And rather than lead you down a rabbit hole that leads to nowhere and get everyone confused, I think we're going to defer that conversation to later on.
Okay.
We're probably what I'm estimating is going to happen is that I'm going to have a training session with Savannah and Sadie and Marilyn, and that if anyone else is available, they're welcome to join us. But we'll record that session and make it available just as we can thoroughly describe how the deposit process works.
Okay, so I just asked that like they let us know, because since I am front desk, I would like to be at that meeting just so I know firsthand. Okay.
Happy to.
Thank you.
Right, just looking to see what else we want to accomplish today. So I'm going to punch it to Laura here, and Laura is going to spend a couple minutes reviewing the clock system. How are you going to punch in, punch out, and submit vacation requests? And if you miss a punch, how is that going to be corrected? So Laura is going to go over some of that with you and demonstrate it on easy clocking. You have been provided a form that gives you a little bit of background and idea of how to work it. But Laura's going to hopefully clarify some of your questions. So I'm going to punt it to her, and she's going to walk you through it a little bit.
Okay, so sure. Okay.
Sometimes it's helpful to zoom in a little bit.
All right, so yeah, y'all have this handout either in the shared drive or in the packet of information, paperwork everybody filled out. Just so you can kind of see it in action a little bit, we'll just go ahead and go to clocking in. Address is easy clocking. It's actually .cloud. I hope that form has that updated. I'll double check on that later. It's remembering it from last time I did this, but the company ID is 26792, and your username and password will be emailed to you. There should have been some form in your packet that you entered your email address on, and that's where you received these passwords. So there's a couple different ways to sign in. You can go to this option, and it'll just clock you in and out immediately. But if you want to get into view more information, you can do it a long way. Sign in first to your dashboard. And sometimes you have to refresh it. There we go. So this is the basic dashboard, what it looks like. You get in the beginning of the day, this will be green, and you just click clock in, and then you're done. If you need to make any corrections to any punches or make any vacation requests, you can do that all from this dashboard. So to request a time off, go to My Benefit Time. However much paid time off you have, you can see it here. Just click on the little calendar. Do a test here. Enter how many hours of paid time off you want to receive that day or days. Oops. Hold on a second. Never done that before. We're going to go back. Sorry about that. So click on the calendar. The reason, the hours. It's the day that you want, or by holding down control, you can select multiple days and just create that request, and it will be sent to your supervisor to review. And once they review it, it will show as approved here. You can also look at a little calendar in here to see what requests you have in the system that have been approved to help you keep track of all that. So that's useful. Back on this tab, you will not have to request the holidays. Those will be entered by your supervisor. Bereavement time, hopefully nobody needs that, but you can request it also through the system. You can talk more with your supervisors about personal time. This is only for use after you've exhausted all of your paid time off. But if there's a situation where you still need to have some time off, but you know you won't be paid for it, you can still submit a request. Just don't enter any hours here because you're not being paid for any hours. So leave that as a 0. But you can enter in the reason for absence just to let your supervisor know how many hours you'll be requesting. Any questions on time off requests? Doesn't look like any, okay. So back looking at your time card, if you missed a punch and need to have it corrected by your supervisor, you can do that by submitting a message through the system. So by this My Messages tab, you can compose a message. Click on this little button here to select. You can find your supervisor in here. There's several pages, a lot of people in here, but find your supervisor, select that contact, and then type out your message in here, and then they will correct your punch for you. If you need to look back and see, how you're doing for time in any particular time frame, you can adjust these dates here. If I want to see how much time I worked last week, I could bump these dates around and see any time range that you want. I'll just show you what it looks like when you've had paid time off in there. So here's a week I had requested a bunch of paid time off, so you can see the hours that you work, the time that you get paid for your paid time off, and then your total from all of that at the bottom. And I'll just stress that it is everyone's individual responsibility to check over this at the end of the pay period to make sure that your hours are as they should be so that your supervisor can correct them before it gets submitted for payroll. I think that's all I have on that. Are there any questions or anything that Ashley or anybody wants to clarify?
Real quickly, the other thing that's important is you will get your notification on your email, but Casey, our bookkeeper, is trying to enter in all of your personal information and get you posted as an employee with us. And then it will generate this to where she can send that out. So it may not be showing up on your email account until possibly late Friday or even up through the weekend, as we're gonna be working through the weekend to get everybody in, as we've gotten some files a little bit later, and she's still trying to get all that in.
Dean, when you're saying the email, is it going to team@cedarhealth.com?
No, your personal.
No, so everyone provided a personal email address when they filled out the paperwork. So that's the email address that we have to register everyone under into Easy Clocking. So we use a shared email address. It has to be a personal and user-specific email address.
That's where you're going to get your username and password for logging in.
So when you see that email come in, which again, it could be any time between now and Saturday morning, as we try and get them finished up, I'd probably encourage you to hop in there before you start working next week and dabble for a couple minutes. I mean, even if you want to clock in and clock out, we're going to see that those hours are bogus, and obviously we're not going to pay you for them. If you want to get in there and play around a little bit, I think that would probably be a wise thing to do.
And I will just point out, just like when I was trying it just now, it gave that error screen the first time. That is a glitch that happens occasionally, and so if it gives you can't load or some error message, just click on the My Dashboard button at the top, and it should load. Like, don't freak out if you see that error message.
Just refresh it. You'll be all right.
And can I add something? I want to look at Corey because I want to go back a little bit on this one thing. We want to hear from you guys at the site level, and we're not trying to create things or put things in place that aren't sensitive to what your workflow and what you've done there previously. We're trying to change as little as possible, but some of the things that we're discovering is we've got to reach and meet some compliance pieces. One thing that we found is the Dropbox isn't necessarily HIPAA compliant. So that's why we're trying to use the Drive under Google a little bit more, so that as we're a bigger business and bigger entity, that we're trying to make sure all those pieces are falling into place. And that's what's creating some of the change. So just to bring you up to speed, that is one of the pieces.
So any questions about clocking in, clocking out, or vacation requests? One more thing's coming to mind, which is, generally speaking, it would be wise of you not to dump a vacation request into easy clocking without giving somebody a heads up first. Like Sadie and Savannah and Marilyn, they don't want to see that you put in a 2-week request of vacation without you giving them a heads up, talking through it, seeing if there's coverage for you. Again, thinking back to our mission, our values, we value your ability to take time off. We value your family time. We want you to have a life. We're going to do everything we can to support you in that. The give and take is that, be proactive as you possibly can be in your communications. Let us know as soon as you have a vacation that you would like to take. Start speaking with us. Give us as much chance as we can to get ourselves organized to permit you that time off. We want to provide it for you. We don't give you PTO so that it sits in a bucket that you never use. We want you to use it. But please help us out by giving us as much time as we can to try and make plans and arrangements to cover. Does that help? Is that clear? So work with your site supervisor and trying to get some of that clarified and in place before you actually formalize it in easy clocking. The clocking system is really reinforcement for our bookkeeper to know how to pay you. What happens at the end of a pay period is we export a file out of easy clocking with everyone's punches. We depend on those to be accurate. We depend on your pay time off to be entered accurately into that system. And if it's not, it's probably not going to be paid correctly, and it's probably your fault. We're happy to work with you on it, and as you learn the system, we'll help you make corrections and edits and fix punches and fix time off requests, but you got to bring it to our attention if something doesn't look right in that system for you. Hopefully that helps. So the next thing that Laura's going to demonstrate for us a little bit is we use Intuit as a direct deposit vendor. So you won't have a paper pay stub. You'll have to get your pay stub electronically. And so Laura's just going to share with you a little bit about how to view your pay stub electronically. So she's just pulling it up here in just a sec and we'll get going.
All right, so I'm going to share the screen again. So again, on the, let's see where to go. In the shared folder that y'all have access to, there's this little handout, the View My Paycheck handout, which really does go through in pretty self-explanatory steps about how to get in there for the first time. At the end of the first pay period, we'll provide you with the net pay from your card or from your check, sorry, and that will be needed to get into this account for the first time, as long as I think it says social security number, some other stuff. So you will have to have some stuff on hand before you can get into this. But once that happens, once you get all that information, go to this website, paychecks.intuit.com, and create an account. You can enter your email address, set the password, and it'll walk you through the steps of entering all that information that it needs. There's a demo available here that kind of shows what it's like once you've gotten successfully logged in. From the site, it shows you, with each paycheck, where the money's going. You can click through different paychecks. I didn't know this before. There's even a little calculate what your next paycheck might look like. You can look at previous paychecks. It breaks it all down for you. You can also save this as a PDF if you want to print it to keep for your records. There's settings. You can have it automatically alert you when a pay stub is available in here. It's pretty straightforward. You follow the instructions in here to get logged in for that first time. And then once you do that, you've got it.
When, it's not uncommon that when you go get a loan or something, they say, hey, can you bring in a pay stub? Well, this is the system that you'll use to get a pay stub. So you'll be able to log in here, view your paychecks, save a PDF, and print that out to take to your bank or whatever you need to do. You can look through historically and see. This is also where at the end of the year, your tax information is going to be available for you. So as you look at the end of the year to prepare your taxes, this is where it's going to be available for you. But you're going to have to rely heavily on this sheet to get you going the first time. And again, as you get into it, and it requires your net pay from your last paycheck, you can call in and we can help you get that so that you can get logged in your first time. What other questions are there? Anything pop up on this one? So everyone knows how to clock in. Everyone knows how to view their pay stub. Everyone knows how to do it all, right? Kind of, not really, right? We expect that we'll get some phone calls Monday morning. That's okay. If you're not getting, punched in, if something's not working, don't panic. Everything can be remedied. If you don't get clocked in right away and it's not working, we'll be able to go back and correct that punch, so don't sweat it. Like I said, I would recommend trying to get logged in as soon as you get that email. As soon as you see that show up to your personal email address that you provided us, let us know and we can help. That's my agenda today. Like I said, I think the next big hurdle is to get some clarifications done on the deposits, and we'll get that out to you probably in the next 24 or 48 hours. What question do you have?
So starting Monday morning when we answer the phones and whatnot, are we supposed to be answering them Cedar Point Health?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So my experience is that is a really hard habit to break.
Mm-hmm.
We changed our name here before. We were previously Montrose Medicine. Now we're Cedar Point Health. And staff that answered phones, their common practice was to put a big reminder sign on their phone that said the new business name.
Mm-hmm.
To help them remember. It's fine. Like don't sweat it. It kind of cracks you up the first several days. There's going to be a lot of people that go Mountain Cedar Point Health. It's okay. But yeah, that's who we are now, and we need to start getting that name out there.
Okay.
So yeah, Laura's reminding me as well that there's a number of places where Mountain Peaks exists, including, for instance, voicemails. And Savannah and Sadie and Ashley know how to update some of those. And if you have questions about how to update yours, come Monday, don't hesitate to ask. But that's something that we'll want to do as well, is just update your voicemail so people know where they're calling.
Do you want anything to say formally on those voicemails or not?
Do you think it's a benefit?
I mean, I don't know.
What's up, Patrick?
Do we want to give the staff a little bit of guidance as far as tackling those questions from patients if they say, oh, what happened, or why aren't you Mountain Peaks? Any guidance for them we want to give them as they're answering the phones and getting those questions from people?
Sure. I was going to prepare a document. I have something started, and we'll put out a little sample script and dump it into that shared drive where you have all these other documents. We'll dump it in there. Jot down, if you would. So everyone's going to have access to this. It is a Gmail account. So you go to Gmail and you're going to log in with your team@cedarpointhealth.com. That's going to be the username. And the password is all lowercase, all one word. CedarPoint1 is the password. CedarPoint1. So you'll be able to log in there, and again, I'm just going to demonstrate it one more time in case people don't know how to navigate there. But from anywhere in Google. So for example, if I'm sitting here and I've logged in, and it's, I'm logged into my team at Cedar Point Health up here. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
So if I'm logged into my team at Cedar Point Health, from any one of these screens, you'll be able to go to this little Google Apps grid thing, click on it, and Drive is sitting right here. When you do that, you're going to have nothing in My Drive. Nothing's going to be sitting there. This is going to be empty. But right below it, you're going to see stuff that's shared with me. Well, we shared with you this folder and the deposits folder. Both of these are going to be sitting in there. This folder is going to be where you see all of the various documents that we've discussed today. And that's where I will put in a script and a little bit of guidance for you as how to direct patient questions about the name change, etc. Shoot, Ashley, don't do that.
Okay, can we clarify that even though this team at Cedar Point Health email is a paid for email, that we are still not communicating patient information in this email, correct?
Correct. Gmail is not HIPAA compliant. So
But the Drive is.
Drive is.
Okay.
Email is not HIPAA compliant. So as you communicate about patient information, that needs to be done. I'm assuming traditionally you've done that through Athena or through phone call or through fax. Those are all secure systems. Is that helpful? Does everyone know how to access that drive? Does everyone feel comfortable that they could repeat those steps and find it again?
And we're expecting mobile sites with multiple people to be logged onto this specific site at the same time.
Yep. So, we're going to have to learn and see how this goes. Again, we're going to work on this deposit process. Sorry, I got a motorcycle in the background. I'm going to share my screen again. So we're going to work on this deposit process for you. But again, it shouldn't be so dissimilar from what you've done historically. But we're just going to clean up a few things and make sure it's a nice, clean process. So you know how to distinguish Mountain Peaks payments versus Cedar Point Health payments, and where you dump charges versus payments and all that sort of stuff. So we'll get that cleaned up in the next 24 hours and get that sent out to you so that there's no questions or concerns about that.
Okay, so I kind of have a question to go back into insurance. When are we going to be signing up? So, like, I personally didn't accept the insurance through Mountain Peaks, but I do want to accept the insurance through you guys. So, I know you were talking about doing the premiums through our paychecks through October, but when are we going to have the paperwork to sign up for it?
Sure. So, Ashley, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. So I did send out an email to everybody in regards to every possible situation you could find yourself in regards to the current insurance and moving forward. And that last bulletin on that email was exactly your position, Heather. If you do not have coverage through Mountain Peaks now, and you wish to have coverage with Cedar Point Health, during the month of November, it's open enrollment for Cedar Point Health. So at that time, or a little bit before that, I'll be sending out enrollment information for everybody so that you guys can get enrolled into Cedar Point plans during the month of November with an effective date of December 1. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Okay.
So we'll get that information to you as soon as we can, so we don't have to double up on you in December, right? If we're able to get that information to you as early as possible in November, then we'll be able to deduct that from your November paychecks for December effective dates.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question, not on that insurance, but I have a question about fee schedules and how we'll be charging starting Monday, and a list of insurances that we're in network for, because that'll make a difference as to what we collect.
Sure. I'll partially answer that and partially defer some of that a little bit later. So I'm going to go back. Let me pull up a document. Actually, I'm going to share my screen while I navigate there. So each of the site supervisors have been provided a folder that's called Starter Kit. In that Starter Kit, there is a document called Cash Discount. And we did discuss this pretty thoroughly in the site supervisor meeting. So this is a 2-page sheet that hopefully lists the big hitters at all of our locations. This is the first page is your standard E&M, wellness, and consultations. The second page is labs and procedures and injections. In column A, you will find the fee schedule, the standard fee schedule that we'll be using. In column B, you will find the cash discount. If somebody pays in cash in full at the time of service, they will be offered column B. That is a 30% discount on all of everything that's on the first page for all patients at all locations that wish to pay cash. The second page, you'll notice this note at the top, primary care only. So we're only going to provide the cash discount for those established patients with Cedar Point at a primary care location. If somebody's an established patient with us and sees us at urgent care, we'll be providing them the cash discount. But if it's not a patient who's established with us for primary care, they will not have a cash discount available to them for these services on this page. They will pay the standard fee in the column A. There's a lot of big eyes out there. Do I need to kind of go through this one more time?
Yes, can you go through it one more time just so we're all clear?
Sure. Is there a specific question I can try and answer now, though?
Yeah, so you said that's only for urgent care, or sorry, only for primary care, but is that only without insurance that they pay the standard fee, or even if they're urgent care who's paying self-pay, they still have to do the full price for these things?
Sorry, I'm missing what you're saying.
So let me rephrase it. So what you're asking is, on the second page, if that procedure is performed at an urgent care and they're a private pay patient, cash pay, they're going to pay the scheduled amount is what you're asking.
Yes, not the cash discount amount.
Correct.
Okay.
Primary care only.
Okay, gotcha.
Care, the second page, they'll be following the standard fee schedule. They will not be available for a discount.
Okay.
Now, I need a disclaimer as a CFO, please help me on this. We have built this and designed this, but if any of you at any of the sites see this fee schedule to where we're actually collecting less than what you've collected previously, just bring it to my attention. That should not happen. But you know what I'm asking, is there something that we put in this fee schedule that ended up being different than what you've typically collected?
Urine pregnancy test is different, I can tell you that.
Lower?
Yeah, you guys are charging 15 for the standard schedule fee. We're charging 25 for it right now.
Yeah, same with like the UA dipsticks and stuff. That's way cheaper.
Yep.
We charge 15 for that right now.
Yeah, we charge 15 for that.
I open because I didn't know if that's going to change your rate.
Because a lot of those prices are way different than what we have now. Like tuberculosis, that one right there is 33 for a one-step, 66.
So do me a favor. Do me a favor. Look at that and next week. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be in touch with you.
Okay, page 1 and 2 apply to only primary care. Page 1 applies to urgent care. If somebody needs this type of service, column A, at an urgent care, they'll pay the standard fee for cash discount, private pay. So Marilyn, the second part of your question was related to
In network,
what's in network, what's in not.
right.
The reason I'm going to kick the can down the road just another day or two, and I'll send out a list. We're still waiting to hear back from a couple payers of our active date.
Okay.
So
And can I go back to the fee schedule for a minute? What about the codes that are not listed on that cash discount sheet?
good point. So I was gonna say that, but the codes that are not listed on that sheet, you're gonna have to call into the billing office.
Okay.
So we couldn't put together a comprehensive sheet. In the future, when we're all in the same electronic health record, you'll be able to look that up and you'll be able to have access to it all. Until then, you're going to have to make a phone call to the billing office if it's not on the sheet. We tried to look historically and see what are the big hitters, and I think we've accomplished probably a good 98% of those that are most frequently used services. But if there's something else, make a phone call to the billing office. Okay. The one payer I can tell you, well, again, I'm going to send you a list. I'm going to send you a list. I'm not going to confuse anyone. I'm just going to send a list. I'll let you know if any payers are not active with Cedar Point Health.
Okay.
What other questions are there?
Okay, so Christy kind of had a really good question. With our payers that we look, like insurance online, are we going to get all new passwords and logins for like the Medicaid site, Rocky Mountain site, Cigna sites, stuff like that?
So Sadie and Savannah and I have talked about that, and yes, we will pursue it. It's kind of low priority at this point, because you'll still be able to use those same login and passwords and still have access to the same information. But it would be good practice to work towards that. So if you find yourself bored one afternoon and you want to work on that a little bit, certainly Sadie and Savannah can help give you a little direction and guidance to start getting on that. But it's kind of a back burner project.
Okay.
What else?
Hey, Corey, this is Susan.
Hey.
So there's people that come up from you know how nosy people are. But there's people that come up to the urgent cares and stuff that are from Terry's office. Are they going to tell them that Terry and Randy are still a part of the practice, or how's that going to happen? People that ask, they're going to ask. Huh? No, it's okay.
Sorry, clarify what you're saying. So people that show up in like Fruita and Clifton or Montrose and they're saying is
They're Terry's
part of this thing?
Yeah, tell them what I am asking.
They're Dr. Wade's patients, and so then they're going to wonder, why is it all changed? Is he still a part of it? Are they going to tell them in their introductory spiel and whatnot?
Again, I haven't written that script for you all, but certainly an obvious talking point is we all know that Dr. Wade and Dr. Shelton are going to be owners of Cedar Point, right? So certainly everyone should feel comfortable sharing with them that yes, they are owners of Cedar Point Health.
I'm just wondering because some patients will come from, they'll be in Junction, they'll stop into Clifton. Of course, they want the discount for going to the urgent care, but they're going to ask. I just didn't know what we were supposed to say as far as, they're going to ask why, and I guess we'll just say we merged, but we'll just wait to see what you write up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get you a little script out just to help with some of those talking points. But yeah, I mean, certainly everyone should feel comfortable, sharing with our patients that Dr. Wade and Dr. Shelton are still at the center of who we are. They're still owners of this business, and we still want them very much involved, and they will be going forward. Kay Moss. What else is there? Barb, what's up? What's going on? I haven't seen you.
Just the usual scene pictures, but I kind of missed all the important stuff, I think. So I'll watch the link you sent me. If I have any questions, I will let you know.
I expect to hear from you.
Okay. You probably no, please. I hope you understand that.
Happy to do it. We're trying to get all our ducks in a row. We're acknowledging that things are not going to be perfect, and the first 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be things that we overlooked. And,
I have a question, but
I have to look myself in the mirror and say I'm not perfect. I usually tell myself I'm perfect, but at least Monday morning I'm going to have to say I'm not perfect. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Just out of curiosity, when is the sign and everything going to change?
So we're again, that's something that we put on a secondary priority. So we wanted employees and operations to be the priority. Marketing is phase 2, which we're working on for ideally a November 1 sort of launch of our marketing plan.
I kind of messed with some patients today and told them that, things are changing. They're like, "Oh no, are you leaving?" I said, "No, just gonna be a change. That's all. It's all good."
Yeah, it's all exciting. I think everyone's excited. I think everyone's a little anxious. I certainly have some anxiety. It's just part of what we're going through. So let me know if you have questions or concerns. I'm going to turn around and send out this recording to everyone so you can share it with those who couldn't make it today. We'll keep things moving along. I have a couple things on my to-do list for follow-up from this meeting. I appreciate everyone's participation, everyone's questions. Keep asking. You're not going to get annoying. You're not going to fall on the naughty list for asking questions. If we don't know it's broken, we're not going to fix it. So you have to let us know if something's not working, if something was overlooked. So just keep those things coming, and we'll keep working on it.
Okay, we have one more question here in Cedar Ridge.
Okay.
Dr. Wade has always saw us and our family without charging us. Well, if we have insurance, it goes to the insurance. Whatever the insurance doesn't pay, he writes off. He wanted us to find out if that's still going to be the case or if it'll be treated totally different.
So, I don't know if I should answer that now or not. So a patient will come in that has co-insurance or a copay. We'll bill out insurance and then we write off the rest. The patient.
Only employees, the employees and their immediate family.
Oh, employees in their immediate family.
Yes.
Okay. So we cannot do that. So it's a contractual obligation that we have with insurance. So I went through this 2 years ago with Rocky Mountain Health Plans because it was a practice that was historically in place here as well. We cannot write off the patient responsibility without being in direct violation of our provider contracts that we have in place. So we don't provide those discounts for employees. We don't provide them for friends. We don't provide them for physician buddies in the community. So that's a significant risk that we're not willing to take.
Okay, but we can still keep him as our provider, right? There's
absolutely
no way to stop that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing wrong with that at all.
Okay, yeah, that was my question because my husband sees Dr. Brzezinski over there.
Nothing wrong with that. We still want our employees to come here.
Okay.
And it's sad that I can't provide that discount for them. And I'm hoping that in the future, so I don't want to get ahead of myself and say something that makes me look stupid in the end. But one of the reasons that we're investigating a partially self-funded plan as a business is that we might be able to, if we're funding it, we might be able to write off patient responsibility and provide care for our own employees. But it's so long as we're have this contractual relationship with Rocky Mountain Health Plans and other payers, we can't write off the patient responsibility. I waved that in front of Rocky to see what they would say about it, and they said, no way. And they referenced me to specific paragraphs and parts of our contract, and they said, you can't do it. So.
Okay, but if like myself and my children are over with Dr. Shelton, we don't have to move, right?
Absolutely. No, you're welcome to do it. I just can't say, it's great to see you. We're going to waive your copay today. Rocky won't let us do that. If they catch wind of us doing that for our employees, we could jeopardize our contracts that we have with them. Again, I hope to spin that in a different direction if we can get creative on a partially self-funded insurance plan, but that's for down the road. Okay, Mas.
So, for the girls that close in the front, I know I only do it once in a while when needed, but are we going to keep the cash box that we have, or how's that going to work with like end-of-day deposits? Are, you know, the site supervisor is going to pick that up like Ashley does in the morning and take it to the bank? How is that going to work?
Dean walked out on me. I totally funded that one to Dean. Dean's not here to answer it. I'm going to have to tell you that as we clarify that whole deposit process, we'll make sure that everyone's on the same page with that. I don't want to lead you down the wrong path by me speculating like I did earlier and have to stop me halfway through. So we'll clarify the whole deposit process. That's one of our big projects we have left to do, and we've got probably 24 hours to do it in. So we know that we need to clarify that, and we'll get that clarified. Again, I don't think it's going to change much. We just want to clarify how that's going to work. up those files, how you can set the right week's payment versus Point health payments. We've got a little work yet to do just to make that as clean as possible so there's no confusion. We'll get that clarified and finalized in the next day. You're not muted, you can say things.
Me?
I was muted, but I will say yes now.
Ashley, did you have something else?
Yes. I will kick this over to the providers, but I just got an email from Casey saying that the easy clocking instruction sheet had an error on it. So I'll be blasting that back out to everybody, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome.
Alrighty, if there's not any other questions right now, I'm gonna shut it down. Everyone can go back to their busy work days and we'll get the broadcast out, and I have my list of questions that I'll get answered for you. Alrighty.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
See y'all later.